Hello, everyone, and
Hello!
hi. It is February 5th, 2024. That's 7:04 p.m. EST. You're watching the Dovecote episode 14 with my special guest, Jeff Stormer of Party of One Pod, uh, talking Nog and a variety of other things that I can't really name off the top of
The
my
fact
head.
that Talking Nog got second billing has made my entire night. The fact that that's second billing, that's how I know that you have done your homework. That's how I know that I feel welcome here. My day has been made. Hello, it's
Yeah,
wonderful to be here. I'm so excited.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I did receive an email about eggnog, so it was kind of top of mind. Um,
I'm
I'm
okay.
gonna turn a
I'm
little bit.
ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
But yeah, welcome. Please tell folks. Besides my kind of very cursory introduction, feel free to tell folks about yourself.
Hello, my name is Jeff. My pronouns are he, his, and I make things in the tabletop space. I am a podcaster. I have hosted Party of One for the last 8 years, 400 episodes in February, which is a number that I'm going to get okay with maybe by the time we hit 500. Um, we are an actual play podcast that spotlights two-player role-playing experiences. Every episode, I sit down with a friend. We play a two-player game. It's a wonderful experience. It's a little bit of a actual play, a little bit of an interview show. I also co-host All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast. Once a year, I do host the world's only eggnog enthusiast podcast, Talking Nog. And I also make games occasionally, sometimes, but I haven't done that particular thing in a little while.
Yeah. Um. Actually, let me. Uh. I won't say with whom, but I was hanging out with some RPG people the other day, and like, sometimes you're hanging out with RPG people, and you're like, let's make a list of the good TTRPGs, and one of your games did come up on that list. So,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
uh,
that's a win. That's a win.
specifically, anyone can wear the mask, which I just linked. It's a
I,
very good game.
I,
Um,
I mean, I am very emotional about anyone can wear the mask. As like it is truly my entire heart put on the page. It is a game that I'm very deeply I think about more than is probably reasonable. I think about just pieces of that game. I'm immensely proud of it.
hell yeah. Um, oh, in chat we have Super Dylan, who I want to congratulate on getting the one of the new host role on a one shot network. That's very cool. I was gonna mention that
I
at some point today, but it's since Super Dylan's here, I might as well congratulate them
and
directly.
I get to say this on microphone after telling Dylan repeatedly this on over text. I am beyond immensely proud and thrilled that Dylan is going to be the host of One Shot. One Shot is a podcast I am immensely emotional about. It is maybe the single what I would say probably the most, if not the second most influential podcast that led to me like discovering actual play and discovering tabletop podcasting. That along with campaign are the podcasts that made me want to be a podcaster. And I think that it occupies a role that is immensely important in tabletop RPGs, and I think that there is no one I could imagine and better to take the place of like stewarding indie role playing games than Dylan as the host of One Shot. And he's also my dear beloved friend, and you love to see your friends get big wins. You love to see them get big dubs. It's the best feeling in the world. So Dylan, I love you. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. This fucking rules. It's a great day.
Hell yeah. Um, I almost wish I were using my 2D model because it's a bit more expressive. I'm smile. I promise I'm smiling.
I
My
it I can hear it, and that which tells me how big the smile is, and the power of it is that I can hear it as you speak.
I'm glad. Yeah, I think that it's good. It's good to have good stuff happen to good people. I think
I
IMO.
just I agree. I agree 1,000%.
Hell yeah. Well, um, let's get right into it.
Let's
We're
do it.
I need to I need to call one of my birds. Intrero, the interview bird. Uh, Who's coming? There we go. um, but yeah, I guess to start, I tend to ask a couple of. I really should just codify these at this point, but I just kind of have them off the top of my head. I would love to hear about what are your big games? What are like the teacher RPGs that are like super influential to you, or like you think about and you're like, you know, this is good shit.
The RPGs that I think about is like this is good shit. These are the big ones. These are the ones that like lock into my brain. Um, the one that I think has most share, or the one maybe the game that I've played the most out of any game ever is Worldwide Wrestling by Nathan
Mm,
Paletta. Um, if you know me, this is not a surprising revelation. As I am purebred wrestling trash. It is the deepest in my core. It is I am beyond redemption is how I would describe myself. But it is truly a game that like I think about a lot. I adore it. I've played it at for years. I would play it at every single convention that I went to. I would organize a game of Worldwide Wrestling specifically, inviting people that I wanted to sit down and play a game with. It is the game that I feel like I could pick up and run at a moment's notice. The game that like probably let's see. The game that probably like you know what other game comes to mind is I'm sorry, did you say Street Magic by
oh
by dear friend
yes.
Caro Assertion?
Hmm.
A game that like another one of those ones that changed how I think of role playing games, and I've changed what I think role playing games can accomplish and can become.
Hmm.
Is a game that is just I think as good as a game can possibly be. And the last thing I will throw out is probably the last. Let me think about the last game that I completely fell in love with. Let me look through. Let me look through. Let me look at my calendar for the last game that like really knocked me on my feet. Uh, Um, I think I've got it. Let me just poke around a little bit. Yeah, I know which one I'm gonna shout out. This is I'll shout out the game that I am playing off mic. I started a campaign of Die, the Rowan Rook and Descartes Kyron Gillen comic game.
Oh yeah.
Good shit. A
Hell
hell
yeah.
of a first session. It's one that I love dearly, or that I was like really like the session itself was incredible, and I really am excited to you're excited to play through it and see what comes from the experience. Like it was one that I was a little bit hesitant to really dive into for a couple different reasons, but like
Yeah.
once I finally like sat down with it, it I when I finally sat down with it, I was like, oh, okay, this is this is specifically overcoming the hesitation that I had around it, which I think is a pretty exciting and cool thing to watch or to like experience as you flip through a game and as you start to play through it. Like this is specifically pushing me against pushing me towards the kind of story that I want, and it's not doing the things that I was afraid that it was going to do. It was cool. It's I'm excited to play more of it.
Yeah, I remember hearing a lot about like that being a very like there's kind of an antagonism with like the GM player relationship, right? Like that's an
Mhm.
element of it to my understanding.
And like it is the rare game that kind of uses that like it's it's very rare that that kind of relationship is cultivated what's even how to even say it is cultivated consciously but
Mhm.
like consciously and lovingly are the words that I would use. It's very rare that a game cultivates that kind of experience um in a way that also fosters care. Like usually if the game is leaning hard on that sort of antagonistic relationship, it is often doing so from a basis of this is supposed to create antagonistic experiences and we don't particularly care if you are having fun and doing it safely and enjoying and like like prioritizing each other's care over top of that. This is the rare game that really feels like it is doing both of those things at once. Like it's coming at it from both of those angles, and I think that's a really powerful differentiating factor between that and a lot of other games of its ilk.
Hell yeah. Um, you describing that kind of reminds me a bit of I've been playing playtests of Jay's 7-part pact recently, um, and like
7 part pack fucking
it's
rules.
so good. The way that it plays with like gender and like this world that is hostile towards women and children specifically is like so interesting. And
It
I yeah
it's so interesting, and like it's getting to. I played a playtest of it. Were we in that playtest together? We
I
might
don't
have
think
been.
so.
Maybe it was a different playtest.
Yeah.
Um, we played a playtest of it with 7 people in a room
Hmm.
walking around like looking and like play each per the way like 7 part pact like on a mechanical level is a 7-person asymmetrical role-playing game where each player is a different wizard playing a different game, and then once a turn you come together to like yell at each other. And so like the thing that blew my mind about it and like kind of melted my brain was the midpoint of a turn of just kind of like watching a bunch of people do different things and move pieces around maps and flip through a dictionary sized spell book and like watching all of these things occur. And I'm like, you could spread this across a cabin and have the coolest weekend long LARP experience that has ever been fostered. And it would be bizarre. It would be a strange weekend, but I think it would be the best weekend of my life.
Yeah. I've been playing the Necromancer, and it's just like, what the fuck is in nature? What are you talking about, the king? I'm trying to stop Belgathor from fucking destroying the world. Uh,
I played the Faustian, and it was
oh,
had a similar experience where every turn I'm just like, there's a bunch of cards and horrible things will happen if I do not stop them. Everybody get the fuck out of my way.
uh, yeah, good game. When I
Good
have Jay
game.
later this month, I will definitely be almost exclusively asking her about 7-part pact because listen, it's good.
It it's good. It's good. I get
Um,
it.
uh, uh, on a similar note, um, are there any games that are coming up that you're especially excited about?
Games that are coming up that I'm excited about. I have one game that I am publishing. My goal is to have some kind of a crowdfund or release in 2024. That is my goal. I don't know if I'm specifically going to hit it, but I'm setting the goal as I want to release this game this year so that like if I come a little bit close to that, I can still call it a success.
Hell yeah,
Let me tell you about Canonize, because Canonize is the game that I'm the most fucking stoked about.
yeah,
It has occupied my entire brain for years. Canonize originally was written under a different name as an homage to a particular comic book that was immensely important to me. Um, that was written by a human monster that then hurt a tremendous amount of people. So I ripped all of his influence out of the game and replaced it by a different comic book creator, but the same core premise. It
yeah,
is my way of reclaiming the emotional experience that I got from this particular comic book, and building something better, because sometimes that is the things that we must do when people disappoint us. It is a role playing game about superhero pop culture archaeologists.
mm,
They are the basic premise of the game is that there is a corporation that, behind the guise of a smiling cartoon mouse, has stolen all of the magic from the world. They have siphoned it piece by piece, uh, packaged it up, and sold it back to us one drop at a time, so that they can have a monopoly over the sense of joy.
right,
You are the people that are going to undo that corporation's influence by way of exposing hidden history of the world that this corporation has fought to obscure. And the way that you do that is you play pop culture archaeologists whose job it is to uh, expose the hidden connections lying beneath fictional stories and worlds. And the way that you do that as players is by organizing a book club, meeting up once a month, and putting pieces of the media that you enjoy together, the art that you appreciate as a group, onto a conspiracy board and linking it all together with little bits of red string.
That's awesome.
It is a mechanized book club. It is book club the role playing
I
game,
love that.
and it is specifically designed to be played for X plus 1 sessions,
Hmm.
where X is the number of players at the table, because each player picks a real world piece of pop culture that they love with all of their heart and that they want everyone else at the table to experience. And each session, you each session in between sessions, you pick one player's chosen media or chosen area of expertise. You all go and watch that movie that I've been trying to get you to watch for 6 years, God damn it. And we come back and then we play a game by like establishing the weird fan headcanons that exist in this world. The phrase that I keep coming back to from one of the playtests was we once we have explored, we have all like read the book, watched the movie, listened to the album. We come back and we create the hidden connections between texts, which brings us to the torrid love affair between Jessica Fletcher and Ra's al Ghul.
Good. Really good. This sounds great. I'm
And
gonna use this to make girls play Dragon's Dogma. It's,
that's
it's
it. That's so you understand the vibe exactly. Like
yeah.
that is the heart of the game for me. Like is I love Superman comics and I want my friends to sit down and read some Superman comics. So I have created a game that is going to force my friends to sit down and read a curated list of my favorite Superman comics.
That
And then we
rules.
all get together and talk about it. It rules. I have been sitting on this game for I think I did a focus group about this game in Metatopia. Yeah, it was Metatopia 2019 because it was November 2019 because it was the last time that the world existed.
Right.
And I have been like sitting on slowly like taking the form or piecing this game together ever since. It is now a hack, like mechanically it is a hack of Street Magic
Hmm.
that like uses that same structure to build out a conspiracy board and weird media connections.
Hell yeah. Um,
I'm
I'm excited
very
to see
excited about
this. Um, are there any works by other folks? I'll say TTRPG or otherwise that you're excited about that are kind of coming down the line.
TTRPG or otherwise. Almost certainly. I'm looking at my list of things that I know are coming up. Saving at least one item for when we talk about it later.
Hmm.
Um, you know what I'm excited about? There is a game called The Beast Within that is coming out, or is I think either in early released or coming out soon. That is just fucking speaking my language. It's by Valiant Dorian.
Oh, looking at
Uh,
this.
and it I am so fucking stoked for this game. It is a multiplayer action role-playing game based on 80s and 90s grunge fighting games,
Hmm.
specifically in the vein of like Altered Beast or Killer Instinct and games of that sort of style.
That
And
rules.
the idea of like you are grungy street fighters that are all like were beasts and you turn into sort of animal forms, and it's just it like I love fighting games so much for someone that is especially bad at them. they captivate my entire heart. And so
Yeah.
like a love letter to a specific genre of weird of like lovingly trashy fight a love letter to like lovingly trashy fighting games is my entire heart belongs to that genre of game. Like that is so up my alley that I am stoked about it.
I also love fighting games and also am very bad at them. So this rules. This looks great.
It's something that I've spent so long like trying to find, for lack of a better way to like the journey to find a game that captures the experience of like playing a fighting game is tough because I like there's a lot that goes into it, and I've played a lot of games that are like we're trying to capture the thrill of a fighting game, and I've played a lot of games that like don't quite hit the vibe for one reason or another. I haven't quite found one that like really fucking sings to me, and I'm really excited for Beast Within for that reason.
This looks awesome. Um, hell yeah. Uh, oh yeah. By the way, folks, please send emails to darlinggamingeclips@gmail.com, and we'll answer them later in the show. We have a I would say a drought. Please send. Um, but yeah. Any other upcoming stuff you'd like to mention?
Um, the other thing, it's not coming up, but is a game I've played very recently and that will be coming up on the show that I want to shout out as a game that A has my favorite role playing game title that I have like one of my favorite role playing game titles that I've ever encountered in my life, and also the game itself was very fun and funny and just really like I want to shout about it from the rooftops. I want to talk to you about The Moon Fucking Hates You.
The moon fucking hates you.
The Moon Fucking Hates You. Tell me that's not a title that immediately hooks you.
It's good. I'm intrigued.
Um, I uh I got sent this game. The designer sent me this game. Was like, would you be interested in checking this out for the show? And like I looked at it and I just thought to myself, I was like, it's very nice. Like, I appreciate the humility that you came to me with a game called The Moon Fucking Hates You, and then acted like there was a chance I wasn't gonna fall head over heels with it. Like, I appreciate that you gave me the space, but like, The Moon Fucking Hates You is like some. You're not supposed to judge books by covers, but sometimes you can judge a book by a really goddamn good title.
Yeah, this is really the grammar in the opening bit is really good where it's you heard me. This is a game about the moon and you. It wants you dead. Like really. Throwing monsters, meteor, everything. That's like a Holly Holotonism. That's really good.
It's very good. And also I love the sentences at the bottom. Why? I think it's cool when fiction does this. Also it's funny. It you know who it reads like as I say sentences why I think it's cool when fiction does this. Also it's funny. I want you to read this in your head or I will read this. I'm going to do my not great impression. You heard me, Brandon. This is a game about the moon and you. And once you're dead. Really, it's throwing monsters, meteors, everything. Why? Because I think it's cool when fiction does this. Also, it's funny. Like that is a Coach McGurk monologue,
Absolutely.
and I love it with all of my heart.
Really, really good. Um hell yeah.
Good question from the chat. The moon from the moon fucking hates you versus the planet from 10 million HP planet.
Oh,
Who wins? Fuck, that is a good question. I
maybe
mean,
they're
that's
kissing. I don't know.
could be that they're kissing. I mean, like the moon hates you, and the 10 million HP planet also hates you. Like, there's nothing saying that they have to hate each other. Maybe they're dating.
Yeah. Listen, as a person who has done a lot of thinking recently about astral bodies who are uh in love with each other, I think it's good, and I think they should be in love.
All right. I'm glad we settled this issue live on the stream today. Like I'm glad that this is us hitting the issues and really, we're bringing new perspectives to the tabletop hobby, I think.
Yeah. Um, okay.
I don't I don't use the word hero very often, but I do think that we are heroes for this.
I think we're heroes. I think that things are about to change in a real way. Um, so, how do you feel about getting into the news? We'll do
Let's
maybe
do it.
two stories and then take a little break after that.
That sounds great.
Hell yeah. Um, uh, Cordis the newsbird coming from a beautiful icy lodge in the frigid north, just relaxed, calm, radiating with pure and peaceful energy, um, has arrived. Um, so we have three stories today. For once, well, I mean, I've that's a lie. There's been three stories most of the time recently. Uh, the first one sucks.
First one sucks real bad.
First
First
one
one
sucks
sucks
ass.
real bad.
So I'll give a rough summary of this, then we can kind of go into talking about it. I don't want to go too in depth on what this fucking person wrote because it's not, it's not that. I don't want to give them too much oxygen. Um,
Sure.
but a let me. I have the specifics in my notes. Um, so Dr. Cleo Bell Weissman from Columbia, a postdoctor fellow, wrote an article about quote unquote harassment in the teacher RPG, specifically the D&D scene, um, and promptly deleted it when people started criticizing the fact that it was basically just like apologia for Zach S, known piece of shit and like a horrible guy who worked with kind of the OSR scene and then D&D for a little while. Um, uh, uh, One of my favorite parentheses least favorite quotes from this article is his name is Zach Smith, and he is the only person I will quote here who, after 4 years of research, I've not been able to find harassing anyone. Um, and then Olivia Hill, who's a gaming writer and intelligentsia, I guess, posted an email from this same academic, the Cleo, Dr. Cleo, um, where Cleo mentioned seeing issues with Zach Smith's behavior. Um, and as a person who used to do journalism, who used to do student journalism, this shit makes me absolutely sick. And like,
I
yeah,
I put it in our notes doc, and like because like I needed that in writing to encapsulate my feelings on this exactly is like my job is interviews. That is my day job is that I record interviews for like business work podcasting, and then I do Party of One and my other shows. Like interviews are my job. Like this is my day job, my night job. This person's behavior is my literal actual nightmare. Like the act of recording interviews with people under false pretenses, the editorializing people's context, rearranging things into an intensely dishonest, and like receipts on all of this behavior came out very quickly after that showed that what they had done was sat down with a bunch of people under, I think it wasn't even just one false pretext. Like it was like they told several people several different contexts for this paper,
yeah,
collected the interviews, and then used it to say, and this is how I know that a reprehensible human being has done nothing wrong. Like it was uh horrifying. And like as somebody that takes the act of the interview seriously, like it is a we are at this moment, you and I are entering into a act of trust. We are
mm-hmm.
sitting down with each other and we are trusting that like this conversation is going to be, broadcast under honest pretenses, that we are going to treat each other with respect. Like the act, that kind of misleading context is horrifying to me. It is like monstrous. It was so distressing to see it play out in real time.
Yeah, and I think like I see I see shit that's been done to me in this. I see shit that's been done to trans people, especially.
Hmm.
Um, it's like I'll actually I might as well just tell the story because I think it's an interesting bit of context. Like I used to run a student organization. Uh, I used to run fuck it. At this point, it's like I've been out of it for so long I can just say it. I used to run the LGBTA at Stony Brook University on Long Island, and there was a point where there was this guy who kept coming in and being like trying to interview people, and eventually we had to kick him out because like he was being a piece of shit. He was really not respecting people, um, and eventually I learned that the Statesman, the paper at Stony Brook, was basically given this guy like free reign. Um, and so like I had to reach out to them. I had to have like some phone calls with them, being like, "Hey, um, this isn't okay. Like, this guy is doing all of this under your, you've given this guy a gun and a badge, and he's 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 shooting wildly, and
Hmm.
I feel like I feel like this is just like if you this is true about this story. This is true about this thing with Zach S. This is true about the way that like the New York Times talks about trans people. If you have
Hmm.
vendetta against someone and the facts don't line up with your story, all you got to do is fucking like you know like these people just look for authority where they can get it, and then
Yeah, and it's horrifying. Like it
yeah
is disgusting behavior. Like and then it makes me so specifically angry because like I know the work and care that goes into this sort of work, and to see it used to cause such specific like harm, which there's no other way to put it. Like
yeah
this work was done in the service of causing harm. There's simply no other way to describe it. It is mortifying.
Yeah, and then you see all these OSR guys on Twitter. Like, I go to look up TTRPG stuff on Twitter sometimes when I look for stories. Um, I mean, I'm not reporting, but like to look for things to talk about on the show. Um, and I, uh, I keep seeing like these OSR guys who are just like, wow, no one will talk about this article released by this academic. Like they're scared to talk about the truth, and it's like it's actually not the truth. It was gathered on false pretenses, and also is like just patently false.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, basically fuck this, fuck
Fuck
this,
it.
and fuck her.
Fuck fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you. Like I hate this.
Yeah. Um, rounding off to a nicer story.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, uh. Wait. Oh shit. I fucked it up. Hang on. The it's fine. Okay. Um. Uh. Uh. Quinn and Smith from People Make Games and also Shut Up, Sit Down, is doing a TTRPG show on YouTube. The first episode is about Wild Scene. It's really great, and I enjoyed it a lot. Um,
This was the thing that when you asked me if there was anything I was looking forward to coming up, and I was like, I didn't want to spoil one of the things we're talking about.
mhm,
This was the thing. I have not had a chance to sit down with the first episode of Quinn's Quest yet, but when I saw this announced on Twitter last week, like I became absolutely giddy for it. Um, Obviously, anybody that knows board games even a little bit, like probably knows Shut Up and Sit Down as like a an institute like a monumental institution in board game coverage. Like they are a tremendous resource for anyone looking to learn more or discover games, discover why games work or why they don't work. And the fact that not only is Quinn's like committing to doing more tabletop stuff, but everything I've heard about Quinn's Quest specifically, I'm just like, this is, I think, such a big deal and such an exciting opportunity for the space and the industry and the art form. Like, I think it's just really fucking exciting to see, and I can't wait to watch the first episode. I've been like saving it till I can properly really sit with it and take it in.
yeah, something that I really enjoyed about my watch the first episode was the um, it's very play oriented. Like, Quinn makes it clear that like he and his group played a good amount of this. Um, and also it is like very thorough. It goes kind of part by part, talking about you know kind of anatomizing the entire game, which I think is great. And I think
I really I
yeah.
love to hear that. I think that's one of the things that's one of the things that makes Shut Up Sit Down or Shut Up and Sit Down so good for board games is that they you can tell like when they sit down to talk about a thing like they're really like this is how it played, this is how we took the time, and knowing that they did that, they brought that over into the RPG space like is exciting. I know that they also said Quinn's also said he was bringing in design, or if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, please at me if I am wrong about this. I believe that like designer interviews are going to be like a very critical part of the Quinn's Quest like analysis of games, and I think that that's going to be a very interesting to see how that slots into, or to see like I think that that's interesting to see how that connects into like review centric tabletop content.
uh there is an interview in the first episode. It has a gag that I will not spoil it. People should watch this first episode. I fucking laughed out loud when I first saw the interview gag. It's good. Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
good show. They have a Patreon. I will link that. Also, if you're a gaming outlet or teacher or content creator, Quinn's wants you to contact them. So do that. Um, and also, fuck it. Quinn, come on the show. Sometimes you have to shoot your shot.
I
Um,
mean, I mean, shoot the shot. Frankly, like
yeah,
I am going to double down and say, hey, you should shoot that shot.
yeah. Has already has like the full interview with Felix Isaacs from Wild Sea on his Patreon, and then an extra video for patrons, which is very cool. Some like pretty these are good Patreon rates. You love to see a less than $5 option. Um,
Yeah,
hell yeah. Uh, I feel like we could probably clear the last bit
yeah.
now
Let's
and
do
then
it.
take a break because it's
Do
it's
it.
fairly short. So um, the last bit is just some neat stuff that I saw that I thought folks who are this show has a I think a pretty heavy like TTRPG people viewership. Um, and so I thought that this would be a good thing to a good couple of things to gesture folks towards. Um, the first is from Kat the Lore Mistress, who's doing two-player games throughout February. Kind stealing Jeff's stealing Jeff's thunder. No.
Mm. And two-player games, you say? Is that a thing? Is
Hmm.
that a thing that people can do? That sounds fake to me.
Mysterious.
That sounds fake.
I especially want to point towards Eyes on the Prize, which is by my friend Ira Baphomet, which
I love Eyes on the Prize.
me
I love
too.
Eyes on the Prize so much. What a great game. We played it for Party of One a while ago, which means that it won't be coming onto the actual feed for a good long while. But I played it with Audrey, who hosts Alone at the Table, and the game fucking rips. Like it's
It's
just
good.
the premise of it's such a good like it's another one of those immediately great premise games where it's laser focused at a situation, that situation being you are both scumbags who have decided that you need to fake being married in order to pull off a con.
Yeah,
What's and then it's like, are you going to get out in one piece, or are you going to have the worst case scenario happen, and are you going to fall in love?
it's great, and also it has art by Ira, and Ira's art is really good. Um, so yeah, give that a look. And then Lost in Transition by the Crimson Gold Agnes folks. They are gathering a new group for a game of Torch Ship, which is a like sci-fi space game. Yeah, this seems neat. So give that a look. And Coyote and Crow are hiring. A lot of these have like a native preference, but you can still apply if you're not native. Um, and yeah, there are roles in print and web graphic design, as well as a lot that are like if you go into the website, like there's a lot that are like graphic and layout designer, web designer, video editor, producer, native actor, story guides, and event runners, TikTok producer, um, and then writers and artists for expansion books. So give all that a look if you're looking for work in TTRPGs or even just like the first two are completely non-compensated, but if you're looking to get yourself out there, these are great opportunities to do so.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so we're gonna take a. How do you feel about a 5 minute break?
5 minutes sounds great.
Hell yeah, we'll take five, and then we'll be both answering your emails and just shooting the shit. All right,
Sounds great.
be right back. Hello. We are back with the Dovecote. Um, we're gonna answer your emails now.
Let's do it. Let's answer some questions.
Please send in more. I would love to have more. We got like an hour left, so you have. It's like it's. I don't know if anyone like. If I don't know if anyone has this experience, but it's like the college thing where it's like the professor doesn't really want to teach all day.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
I think for the follow, big views. Um, But yeah, like the professor doesn't want to teach all day, but they're like, you have me for the hour. If you got any questions, just yeah, you can study, you can do whatever you want. That's what it's like.
We're gonna put. I mean, I figure we got half hour, and then we put in a movie, and we watch a half hour of let's say Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano and Gene Hackman, and then we're out of here.
Yeah. Fucking Finding Nemo.
Yeah, just watching Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Um, okay. So the first question is from John Adamus, um, or John D. Adamus. That's their specific thing. And they have questions specifically for Jeff. So, um, yeah. Uh, the first question, and I don't know if this is I don't know if this is sacrilegious because it is an eggnog question. It's not during talking nog, but the question is, could you please ask Jeff if he would try eggnog flavored protein powder next year for talking nog?
Let see, the thing about talking nog is there's a lot of voice work that goes into talking nog. I've got to figure out where the air lives in my lungs before I can answer a talking nog question.
Interesting.
Hello. I would be happy to try some eggnog flavored protein powder. I think it would bring a warm, seasonal treat to the ongoing adventure that is working out, and our ongoing fitness journeys can only be made a little bit more holly and a little bit more jolly with the addition of everyone's favorite eggy, creamy, spicy, boozy Yuletide treat. Thanks for the question, John. You are a real noghead.
Good. I've also been
It's
told to remind you that wrestling can really be the best, and also
it's
that we
pretty.
all need more "Don't Bring Me Down" in our lives.
These are both true facts. These are both true facts. Wrestling, pretty good.
Also, this is just me editorializing, but that like neon lady in the beginning of the "Don't Bring Me Down" video has insane thighs, and I fucking love it.
Truly wild, truly next
Yeah.
level, next level. You are not wrong.
Hang on, I'm gonna show the audience. No, don't play the fucking Instacart ad. We're not sponsored by Instacart.
Give us money. You want us to play your ad, Instacart?
Yeah. Um, what's the best way for me? Here, I'm gonna post this. I'm just gonna send this to you, and then I'm gonna download it to my computer, and then I'm gonna put it in OBS. This will work. Um, yeah. I don't even know if I can put this on Twitch, but you know what? Actually, hang on. I need that image. I need my I am a game designer, not because I don't have a persona, because I choose to have many image that I can just flash up.
Good, good, good.
There we go. Yeah, look at her. I'm very normal about her. Anyways, yeah. Um, thank you for the questions and the reminders, John. We appreciate it.
Pixar mom ass design.
Yeah, real. Oh. Oh, these are good questions. The person who sent these didn't give a name, but I'm assuming that this person forgets to do this enough, and usually is like, "Oh, that was me." That I'm just gonna say their name. It's Duck. Um, Duck asks, first of all, "Hey, what is the next innovation in glossaries, appendices, or back of the cover reference tables for TTRPGs?"
Um, really leaning in. I mean, it's web functionality is what it really is. I mean, we're seeing it take shape. I think we're seeing people either move away from the PDF, or we're seeing people bring like newer functionalities available within PDFs into appendices and I think we're gonna see. I think we're now seeing books that are really well hyperlinked and really well like connected together. I'm playing a game of Project Echo for the show, and it really like
Oh yeah.
the ability to they name a term. Notorious also does this really really well, where you see it like anytime they name a term, if you click that term, it takes you right to where the definition is. I think we're gonna see even more of that. I think we're gonna see probably like pop-ups, like almost like editorial comments
Mhm.
where you click a term and it comes in a pop-up in a little like word bubble. I think that's also the thing. Like those types of ease of use functionalities for digital assets in particular, I think is where the wind is blowing, and or building dedicated web apps or online versions or like digital document versions that replicate that functionality with uh more compatibility separate from PDF, which is often a very stifling format.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I also kind of think like in terms of like appendices and like tables, I think that there's an element of like I think we're gonna see more like I guess this is me being these are my hopes. I would love to see like more like story games or like lyric games get more OSR with it, where it's like you have 16 tables for like the names of characters and like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh the flavors of different types of meat. Like I love that sort of shit. Um,
I do love a good weird arbitrary table. I do love a good table, and I do wish that we see more tables.
yeah. Um, So Audiovore in chat says, "Dark Future. Buying the game just gets you a Discord invite, and the rules are all on there."
I don't I know that's Dark Future, but like there's a version of the game where that's not the like there's a version of that future where that's not the worst outcome. Like there's something here's the thing. Maybe it's that I am broken in my heart, but there's a version of that where I think you could make. I think if it were done intentionally, there's a version of that dark future where you could make something very fun and very like ARG-esque, where you buy a game, you get an invite to a Discord, and then there are games mechanics hidden inside the
Oh
Discord for
yeah.
you to fuck around with. I think there's something very fun in that space.
No, I agree with that actually. Audiovore also says, "Dark Future 2. The rulebook is a fandom wiki and is so riddled with ads, it's unusable."
That's just very funny.
Yeah, that's also sickening, but I love it. Also, I'm sorry I got big, everyone. I sometimes I'm like the infomaniac from Lego Island. Sometimes I just transform.
I I'm glad you called it out because like it happened as I was speaking, and I truly thought that you were like I thought that you were just like doing it to kind of I like side eye me in some way, and I was like, what am I? Well, no, I'm just
No,
gonna keep talking. I'm just getting more and more stressed.
I was side eyeing Audiovore. To be clear,
Oh, fuck.
I was doing a bit. It just wasn't directed at you.
Okay, I love this. I love this dearly.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Sometimes you need to be vague. And then another question. Same email, different question from Duck. Oh wait, hang on. Oh wait, there's an other in other terms. When you open up a TTRPG book or PDF, what's the first thing you can see that either intrigues you or this is a different question. Um, when you open up a TTRPG ebook or PDF, what's the very first thing you can see that either intrigues you or gives you full confidence it's going to be a good book?
Um, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but like um a an evocative title does a lot for me. That or I mean, maybe it's because I am of an age where maybe it's because I'm of like the age where this was everything. Every game had 10 pages of this, and I'm glad that we've moved away from it into the single page.
Mhm.
A very good one page piece of microfiction
Oh yeah.
that like grounds you and is like, here's the vibe, here's the setting, here's the energy. Um, it is pure '90s edge lord trash, and I say that affectionately as someone that has both read and written a great deal of trash. I really love the intro, the opening. I actually, you know what? I'm not even 100% sure it's in the book. It was in the pirated PDF that I had when I was 16. So I can't confirm that this is actually in the hard copy book. It might be something somebody else entirely made up. But the opening monologue to the pirated Mage the Ascension PDF or Mage the Awakening PDF that I had when I was 16 that was pirated, and the text itself was not formatted like the rest of the book, which makes me think it wasn't official. And I've never opened the book to find out.
That's awesome.
Had a whole monologue about like the way that reality is a lie and you're fooling yourself if you think otherwise. That to
God.
me, that hook, like I get good and hooked if I've got like uh a good strong piece of intro fiction will hook me. That
Yeah.
that gets me jazzed up. This is another opportunity to scream about a game that has completely captivated me and completely stolen my entire heart. Masks of the Masks being stylized
Oh
as
yeah.
a full color comic book. I mean, you open that book in the first page, everything being done as a 9 panel grid comic. That
Mhm.
got me. That got me from the moment I saw that first page. I was like, well,
It's
this is
pretty
gonna be
awesome.
my everything. This is fucking for me. This is my game, and I'm going to like it was. In that moment, I was standing at Amagara Fault, and I was like, this is my hole. This is made for me.
Yeah. I'll also say like great GM tips.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I mean the person I think of immediately when I think of GM tips is like Jess Levine. Like
Just Levine's.
extremely good.
I mean, next level, truly.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would shout out is like, Jay has talked about this, but like, and this is something that is, I think, controversial. I know some folks in TTRPGs push hard against this. I love a very well developed narrative voice in a role
Hmm.
playing game. I like diegetic speech in role playing game texts. I like role playing game texts that feel like they are written from someone with a perspective. I think that that does a lot towards bringing me into the narrative space of the game. I will go back to the game we were talking about earlier. You know that the moon fucking hates you.
Hmm.
From like, and every piece of that game, like you understand the vibe because it's written with such specificity, and like the narrative voice in that game is so strong that it gets you excited. Like it captures this sense of, oh, we are in it. We are in the roller coaster. And like the game is sort of just yelling at me. The other game the other game that does this really well, that is somehow also about strife with the moon. Adira Slattery's Bad Moon also does this really
Oh.
nicely, where it like the the way that it speaks, the way that the text is written speaks with such a clear perspective that it brings you into the journey of the game, and it's one that I come back to constantly.
What is Grief says, what is a good rule book if not specifically kind of mean to you directly as the one reading it? Um
You're so right. You're so right. Is the
when I was writing a game that I still have not really released, it'll happen eventually. My game Autopsy Feast. I was like not fully sure if I wanted to have a voice for a long time, and then I got to this point where it was like I was writing about this place, and I was writing about the the narrator's experience, like their last true love that they met at this place, and how like they're pretty sure this person is dead, and uh, they say something about how like their true love, you know, will have a better place well like to go to when they're done, but I will
Mhm.
not have that, and you will not either. Like this idea of this like narrator who's not just a fucking asshole but is also dragging you down with him is like
Oh yeah,
really I
it's
love getting into the shit with that.
it's if I can shout out my own work for a moment,
Please do.
if I can take a victory lap, there is a particular like there's a few lines of text in Anyone Can Wear the Mask that I'm really, really proud of because they approach the game with a really specific like I have a very clear picture of the narrator of that game. And there's a few moments where that comes out in the rules that I think are some of the best things that I've ever written.
Hell yeah. Um okay. We have more. Um oh, they're coming. Hell yeah. We got questions. We'll be fine. Okay.
Loving it, loving it.
We got a tripler. Um from the goblin, from the famous goblin who sends me all the questions and I love them. Um Question 1. What do you think is the place for fan works in the tabletop sphere? Everywhere, all the time, screaming from the rooftops.
Yeah, always, in every like how define depending on how we define it. Are we talking fan works in the sense of like using? Are we? I guess are we talking fan works in the vein of interstitial, our hearts intertwined, where you are using characters that are copyrighted and telling stories that the owners are too cowardly to? Listen to Interstitial Infinity at moonshotpods.com. Listen to Shadow the Hedgehog give people therapy on a train. Shit rules.
I still haven't listened to
Um,
that. It's good
it's
though.
I'm so excited.
I love
I
the first 2 seasons of that.
I know how much love went into it, and I know how I know how intensely Riley and Marn and everyone like feels about this group of troubled teens on a
Mhm.
train. Or are we talking about fan works in the sense of like reading a game and making content or making art for it? I'm trying to phase the word content out of my lexicon. It's not going great. Are we talking about like reading a game and like making art around it, like making stuff for it? If so, again, all the time forever. And if we're
Yeah.
talking about right like and if we're talking about like taking games and building on them, like in the vein of hacks and hacks and reskins and all of those kinds of things, my take is also all the time forever.
Yeah. Um, I like in terms of fan works, in terms of the former definition of fan works. I the one thing that I will say, like, I don't mean to say this is like a thing. This is a thing that shouldn't happen. I mean to say this is like I think that there are a lot of really great games that are like mainly pastiche. Um,
Sure.
but I also really like it when I see something that's like completely fucking out there. And I'm
Mhm.
including interstitial in that. I think interstitial is completely fucking out there. Um, like I would always prefer that people put a little bit of French on it. Um,
Oh, absolutely. I I think the thing that draws me, going back to the question about like what draws you towards a game, like when I see a game that is pastiche, the thing that draws me towards it is when it is going beyond, and I think again, I think to your point, I think Interstitial does this part very well. When it goes beyond recreating a piece of art
mhm.
into we are now like examining it, we are celebrating, there are specific things that we are capturing, like that to me is when I can see that real love was put into it, is when it's like we are recreating Kingdom Hearts. But what we're really doing is understanding and celebrating the way that Kingdom Hearts is secretly about the power of friendship as the thing that runs overall. And like that to me shows a level of like love and understanding that tells me that this is going to be a really spectacular thing. The other example that comes to mind is Jess Levine's Planet Fist,
Mhm.
which is like recreating um oh, what's the Planet Side 2?
Blind
Is that the
side, yeah.
game? It's recreating the Planet Side games, but also like kind of satirically, critically analyzing them in the context of violence and in the context of like state sanctioned violence and sort of like the transgressive nature of violence as an activity. Like it's doing all these things, but it's being very self-aware about them and being very coy about them and being very like, and it's that level of like, oh, you've taken the time to not just recreate a piece of art, but like understand it. And like you said, you've put a little French on it, and I think
Yeah.
that to me is really what takes it to the next level.
I'm very normal about Planet Fest. I think it's very good.
It's a good
um,
game. It's a good game.
where am I? I didn't save them in a folder. I have art of my Planet Fest characters that I drew.
Um,
They're so silly. Oh,
I
here's one.
I forget
Look at this.
where.
Look at this
Oh,
busted.
that's
Look at this busted chwink. His name is Mannequin.
Mannequin is a very good name.
Yeah.
I forget if this character is going to show up is going to show up in a place. But the first time my first Planet Fist character is burned into my brain as one of my favorite characters I've ever played. Um, call name Butler. Called that because he went to Butler school
Oh, that's really good.
and was then dispatched.
God.
So all of because like we roll like as I was rolling, every single thing was like your character has very good manners. Your character is very good at like talking to people. Your character gets a bonus when they follow orders. I was like, this is a butler. Like this is not a soldier. This man is a butler. And so I was just like, this I am here because of a clerical error. I was dispatched here from Butler School, and I'm making the most of it.
I love that. I've what was I had a KDR named Major Damage, and then I had Mannequin, and then I had one other character I'm forgetting. Uh, I don't remember, but either way, it's a great game. People can and should buy that. Hang on, let me. Uh, that's also like things are happening with that. Changes are being made. So if you want to get a game that's like developing and changing, grab Planet Fist, please. Thank you.
It's a good game.
Yeah. Um, question 2 from Goblin. How does one help new players engage with the mechanics of a game thoughtfully? Personally, my group has never played a TTRPG in their lives, and I'm struggling to help them. They're passive at the moment, and I've had to help them with problem solving a few times. I'm not frustrated with them in any way, but I am with myself. I want to run a fun game, and I'm clearly doing something wrong.
Hmm. This is a big question. I need to sit with it for a moment.
Yeah, that's an age old.
Age old.
Yeah.
I think to me the thing like I admittedly I play a decent number of games with people who have never played a game before or whose experience playing games are limited.
Hmm.
So like this is a thing that I think about very very often. This is a question and a conundrum that I spend a lot of time like thinking about. And to me the answer that really like jumps to mind is I always kind of come back to I don't think you're doing I want to say first off, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I don't think there's such a thing as doing anything wrong in this instance. It's you're trying to teach a weird hobby folk art form that is also a game played among friends. Like it's a very strange thing
Mm-hmm.
that we do. But I think also at the same time like people have specific ways that they like engage their imagination. What we're doing here is imagining. People have specific sometimes that takes the form of problem solving, like sometimes you have like it's sometimes you have players that like grab it that like you put a puzzle in front of them and they break out their they break out their compass and protractor and get to work, and that is the thing that like brings them in. Sometimes it is questions, like sometimes someone is prompted with a question and they immediately like throw themselves into the moment. Sometimes it is hearing a scene and like and having opportunity to like futz with or alter a scene. Like sometimes it is that they need a thing to break. And I think it's, to me, the thing that I would suggest is throw in like a few different ways of engaging. Like some players really gravitate towards, I have a mechanic that is on a sheet of paper in front of me. I have a toy that I can play with. Like find a few different like approaches to engaging like imagination, and just start dropping them in and see which ones kind of like capture imagination, because I think that likely there is some likely like finding the thing that is going to get someone's wheels turning is, I think, often the key to really like putting your foot to the gas. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would also say, like, I think the approach that you're coming at this with is mostly good. Like, I think not blaming your players and not getting mad at your players is a really good place to start. I think the second half of that is you need to not be mad at yourself. Like, you know,
Sure.
this is a thing that eventually you're going to find the right fit for each member of your group, and I think you have to be patient with yourself and not beat yourself up over this. And maybe try some one shots of other games, or as Jeff said, like other approaches or other types of challenges and situations. I think with some diversity, I think you'll figure it out. Um, cool. And a third question from Goblin: thoughts on using a historical setting in campaigns? Is it worth the effort compared to the payoff? And is the risk of potentially misrepresenting other cultures okay if it is not being widely distributed? These are some
Hmm.
huh, robust.
Hmm.
I don't personally really do a lot of historical games, but so I don't really know. But like, I would say my thought with like misrepresenting other cultures is that like if you start doing it at like your own table or whatever, it's going to become a habit. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
I think it is important to try and be honest to but both like the game that you're playing um and to the cultures that you're being inspired by, and if you don't know, then maybe shifting towards something else.
Yeah, that's kind of my view. Is like, I think that I I I don't always love this answer, but this feels like a case where if you're asking the question, it's going to veer towards the answer a little bit.
Mm,
Like, to me, it feels a little bit like, like, is it going to be the end of the world if your players play in a particular setting? No, but likely, like, if you are sensitive or cognizant to intentionally or not playing in or engaging in like harmful storytelling, you are setting yourself up for risk in doing certain things. I don't think that necessarily like every historical setting is like, I don't think the act of saying our game is set in history is innately setting that up, but I think that doing it without care is, I think, like, it requires a level of care, even if it is just like your table of friends. Like, the people that you're playing with, the game that you're playing, but it is a more difficult proposition than imagining something from scratch.
yeah, no, I definitely agree. um it is tricky. um okay. Next is a question from Duck. I'm gonna send you this one in advance, and you can let me know if you want to answer this one, because it might not be something. I don't know. I don't know how. It's a question that I would answer easily on my own, but also like you know
If you've got an answer for it, go ahead. I don't know that I do, but I'm not opposed to being to being here to have it answered.
Awesome. So the question is, well, the question starts with, which I didn't send to Jeff. We all agree the teacher RPGs need to get more horny. Let's get down to the brass nipple clamps. Good, thank you, Doc. What's a good specific fetish that isn't represented in teacher RPG? Not nearly enough as it should be. Doesn't have to be a fetish you enjoy. And then also hard mode. You can't mention biotrophication. Yeah. Well. Um, uh,
I appreciate that. I appreciate the inclusion of that specific call out. That's a
yeah, that's
that's a
funny.
focused shot, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. I. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like kink isn't broadly represented in TTRPGs, and I'm I'm among a small cadre of people who are trying to do stuff with it. Um, and so I feel like anything I almost feel like I'm like Spider's George in this situation. Like any kink that I specifically don't have is going to be underrepresented in TTRPGs. So I guess piss is your answer. I need someone to make a piss game. Um, there you go. Uh, right.
I get. I'm gonna say it again. I don't like to use the word heroes very often,
Yeah,
but I do think that we're the greatest heroes that the tabletop scene has ever seen.
it's very possible. Actually, I do know my friend Lilithly like Leviathan in her game Euphoria 2180 did recently add a I think it was a piss mutation, maybe? I don't remember. So good on her. And Grief
Oh,
says, look out for our new system releasing next week, Planet Pissed.
that got me. That
Uh,
that 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 got me.
that's really funny. Okay. Speaking of Grief has questions for us
Let's
in
go.
the
Let's
email.
go.
First question. Do you have a favorite game you've had on the show? And more so, what do you think makes the difference on what makes a good podcast game, as it were?
Hmm. This is an interesting question because Party of One is also a weird podcast. So
Hmm.
like there's the question of like what do I think is a good game for a podcast more broadly, and then there's the question of like what makes a good game for Party of One, because Party of One is weird in a lot of respects. Like we are I often say like the heart of the show is more of an interview than a lot of other actual plays, and so like we are looking for specific things that I think a lot of other actual plays, like a lot of what makes the air on Party of One is stuff that would either be cut out or like either be cut out from like a session zero or would be included in something like a talk back on a more produced actual play. Like you listen to something like a Dimension 20 or an Adventure Zone or something like that, a lot of the things that you would hear in the like the post game recap session or the Adventuring Academy or all of that kind of stuff are things that are very front and center on Party of One because we want to capture the experience that like we are having a moment together. And also, I don't like doing prep, and therefore I
Mhm.
put it on the podcast for people to hear. It made my life easier because it meant that I had to do less prep work before we got on mic. I am currently like flipping. You know what? There's the game that I want to scream about. It is C issue X is the game that like is my
Hmm.
like part of a burgeoning genre of games that is my favorite thing in the absolute world. One of my favorite recent Party of One games. We've played it a couple times already, and we will play it many times in the future. CSU X is a game about comic book continuity.
Hmm.
It is a role playing game about superhero storytelling, but also specifically about the act of writing a week or an issue by issue comic book and the way that that becomes a tangled mess of intractable continuity.
Fun.
And the way that you represent that is by ruining a deck of playing cards. And
Good.
you continue to uh like every the game is a series of prompts. Every round, every arc of your superhero story, you answer a series of prompts. Those prompts are tied to playing cards, and as you play, you write down bits of continuity onto these playing cards. So, like, you write down the names of villains and powers and locations. You put these on playing cards, and then you shuffle the deck. And then you play out your next arc. You play out cards, and sometimes cards pop up. They already have a thing on them, and it might not be a thing that you fully remember. It might just say like Dracula, and you're like, "Fuck! How did I include Dracula? What what does that mean?"
That's so good.
And so like, and then you have to integrate that plot element into your new story to represent that sense of like, oh yeah, we did straight up establish that this person was Dracula. Shit. Okay. Go back to the writer's room, explain why he's here and how he's walking around in the daytime. Cool. And like the way that you do that while creating this physical artifact of play, which is like this burgeoning genre of games, like Wreck This Deck also fits into this, of games that require you to ruin a deck of playing cards,
Yeah.
is very special to me.
You should destroy a deck of playing cards, I think.
I think it's fun as hell. It feels very good to destroy playing cards. It
Yeah.
feels the other game that I really love that I will shout out. We played it a while back. It's not necessarily a recent game, but for very similar reasons. Um the game's called Broken. It is a two-player role-playing game about like the end of a relationship. It is played over 10 scenes. And it is each scene you come to the game. It's called Broken, a tragic romance game. And the way that it play works is you it's played over 10 scenes. Grief, get excited because I see you in the comment talking about you love fucking up physical things. This game fucking rips. It's 10 scenes. You say 10 scenes over the course of a relationship.
Oh, sorry. What's the
Each
name of the game again so I can put it in chat?
Broken, I'll send you the link. It's called Broken, a Tragic Romance Game by Ben Wallace. I'll put the link in our chat.
Thank you.
Um each player brings 5 objects to the game. These are real objects that represent moments in your relationship that are very like strong.
Oh,
The game that we played included like a ceramic apple, a VHS of the film Rocky.
good.
When you play through these games, and one by one, like you play through a scene in the life of this couple as they are falling apart, as they are coming to, and you write down like things that you love about one another on index cards. And the way that the game is played, you play the moments in a relationship when you realize that the things that you love about a person either aren't there or aren't what they used to be. Like you play this relationship falling apart. And at the end of every scene, you tear an index card in half and then
Uh,
smash the object in front of you.
that's awesome.
I smashed a VHS of Rocky with a hammer,
God,
and it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
I love that. Um, I'm gonna pretend that this question is for me also, because I used to do a show where I played a lot of games. Um, uh, the best game that I played on It's Up to You really is Legendary Vermin's Aethernet, uh, which I don't really know how to explain. It's a delve into like mad transwoman shit. It's good. Yeah. Take a look at that. I think that the session where we played it is lost, and it's maybe one of my favorite sessions that I've ever run. We were in like a weird computer otherworld, and there was a character who was like a ship and its crew of 1,000 people who are like all one person now. Um, it's a good game. Um, cool.
I
And
just
then,
sent
oh, sorry.
I just sent you an image. I just sent you the image that is the
Oh
aftermath of the
God,
game that have broken that I played.
this is. Let me put this on the stream. What a mess. That's really
It
good though.
it turns out VHS tapes are really really difficult to break. I learned this when I tried to smash a VHS of Rocky with a
Yeah.
hammer.
Wow. It's all gone.
It turns out,
Woof.
it turns out you can't, like, you think that you might just be able to, like, snap it in half and then it just kind of bends and then pops back up. You then start hitting the middle of the VHS tape with a hammer and it doesn't break for a while.
But you can break a
The
hammer
little,
with a wait. You can. I don't know. I tried. You
I
can.
appreciate the effort.
You can't break a VHS tape of Rocky with a hammer, but you
There's
can
a
break a hammer. You can break a VHS tape of Hammer with a rock.
That's true. That's true.
There you go.
There's also a comic book from 1996 written by Leonard Nimoy that has been ripped to shreds in the midst there. It has all been placed on top of a beach towel because I was worried about debris falling into my carpet. This was a great day.
It's really good. Um, Speaking of cards, which we brought destroying cards and having cards and such things. Um, Grafe has a second question. Also, how many cards in a game do you think is too many cards? We mean physical cards, decks, what have you.
Um, I guess it depends on how often they're used, because the secret is that, like, I am a card prompt slut, and I would like a gigantic 1,000 card deck in front of me that I will flip through and answer questions and play around. Like, my heart says that I want 1,000 cards that I might never see all of them. That
Right.
no matter how many games I play, I might never come across the answers.
What?
I recognize that this is not necessarily economical, but like, if the goal is that you are to answer every single card in your game, that creates very real concerns around, like, time and time management. But in my heart of hearts, in the deepest parts of my being, big stack good.
Have you played God Game?
I have. My friend Marn has been talking to me about God Game for weeks, and I have not. I have played. I will a similar game, similar energy. Why don't you give the 30-second pitch of God Game, and then I will describe the similar game that I've
Yes.
played.
God Game is a game by SoxBX and I believe Polyhex, which is it has like thousands and thousands of cards. I'm probably gonna stream it sometime soon. It's so funny. It has an entire monkey deck where all the monkeys are the same except for the one collectible monkey who is mechanically the same, but has a picture of, like, I think a child on it. Um, it has
That's really fucking funny.
it has a Doge deck. It has, like, various Jonesies from Fortnite. It has a Stinky Pete deck. And there has been a God Game tournament that has been going on for days and days and days, run by SoxBX, because it's an 8-player game. Sorry, no, 7 constant player game with so two of the players are on the same team because of stuff that happened in their semifinal, and they each have 2 of themselves because of things that happened in their semifinal, and the other team is 2 players who are working together because of stuff that happened in their semifinal, and then 1 person who's playing completely alone. And it's been going on for 2 days. They're gonna do the 3rd one soon. And the streams have been like 8 hours each. It's a fucking mess. It's really good.
Unlike, I know a lot of the prompts in God Game are things like cancel your stream.
Yeah.
Dude,
I have God Game cards.
There was a card that Marn showed me that was go on to every single Discord that you are a member of and drop an everyone tag.
Mr. Ping.
Mr. Ping. For every server you are banned from, take 10 points. So like,
funny.
I have not played God Game, but I did for years and years and years. Have an ongoing game of 1,001 blank white cards with friends in college that we did ultimately reach 1,000 cards, and it was a curated list. Similar energy. The way that 1,000 cards works is you have a stack of 1,000 blank index cards. The only rule is that you're trying to get to 1,000 points, and a card cannot give more than 10 or 100 points. I forget what the specifics was, but those were the only like set rules. Everybody gets one turn, and on a turn you draw a card, you play a card. Everything else is just what you write down on a card, and
It's
everybody
really
writes
good.
down like 3 or 5 cards, and then you play until you've gone through the cards in the deck, and then you curate afterwards. You go like, this card sucks, we didn't like this joke, and then you legacy game it where you have that deck and then you add cards to it. We kept that going for almost a decade, and we had probably multiple decks of thousands of cards.
That rules. That's so
Like,
good.
it was an ongoing effort, and like part of the challenge of it, the ritual of it was like, as you would grow, like you would have games where you would sit down and you would go through the deck and be like, no, that joke sucks, I don't like that. That's gone for the ages.
uh,
That's not a me that exists anymore. We're getting rid of that. And like, you would cultivate this list of just bangers only, of be like, this joke remains funny, this. So by the end of it, like, some of the mechanics that I remember was, we had embedded the game of Mafia into of Werewolf into
oh,
the into thousand. Like, there was a card that if you draw, it was like, you are the murderer, don't tell anybody. And then there was
that's
a
so
card,
good.
if you don't tell anybody, if nobody figures out that you're the murderer by the end of the game. And then there was like, you are the detective, you can play this card and like ask someone. And like, there were conditions that allowed you to like shuffle it back into the deck. So like, players were trying to find the murderer because they would guaranteed win if they didn't reveal it. There were cards that like had prompts like, go outside for a while, you have to play from outside.
That's really good.
And so like, it became, there were sub games, and there were status effects, and there were bargains and deals made. It was and that is to me the height of like that is a formative gameplay experience, was cultivating this list. It's something that I keep wanting to come back to, and I think truly this might be the year that I just show up at a friend's house with a stack of index cards and go, we're making something.
Yeah, you should. I agree. Um, I think um, not to drag us back to God Game for too long. I just remembered a really
Yeah.
good effect, which is it was called Minecraft Fishing, and everybody who was playing the game had to open Minecraft and fish for like, I think it was like fish as long as it wasn't their turn, and depending on what fish you caught, you'd get like different resources in the current game, and it just completely derailed the stream because everyone was just playing fucking Minecraft. Um, yeah, we love stuff like this. Um,
I My dear friend Riley, I'm not going to be able to find the card, but Riley created a custom god game card that was very specifically, it was entitled "The Saxophone Solo from Jungle Land" by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And the card was, you get 10 points only if you sing the entire saxophone solo from the song Jungle Land by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
that's so funny. Do I have this? Oh yeah, okay, here we go. I have one of my viewer submitted cards, which is Can Dogs Eat Jello? Um, where battle cry roll 1d6, 1 to 3 dogs can eat Jello, healing all dogs fully. 4 to 6 dogs can't eat Jello, poisoning all dog cards. It's a 2-3. Yeah,
That's really fucking funny.
yeah. Uh,
And
uh,
also it did give me legitimate pause where I went, can dogs eat jello?
yeah. That's an old Darling Demon Eclipse reference. That's when I was fucking like playing Spore. I I I can't explain that bit. It's fucking from fucking years ago. But yeah. Um. Anyways, we have one more question here.
All right,
Um.
let's get into it.
uh, a hater alert, according to the subject of this email from Duck. Um, Single most annoying suffix in TTRPG contexts. Example: blank punk, blank board, Borg, blank esque, blank 6th edition, or give your own. Hmm.
Ooh, okay, let me think about it.
Am I enough of a hater?
I got the hate. I got that dog in me. I just got to think about
Yeah.
it. Cause like my my nuclear take is like I don't really mind punk.
Mhm.
I think that I mind punk when it's not used thoughtfully, but
Right.
like but like I know a lot of people are like I hate all steampunk, and I'm like I've seen some steampunk games that actually inject punk into the equation. And I think if you are injecting punk into the equation, like I appreciate it. Um Borg is not my speed. I
Mhm.
don't I appreciate the design of Morkborg as like an art object, but like game wise it does very little for me. And like I do think it has I think it has Watchmened a little bit, where I think that it is doing something so specific and
Yeah.
so it is doing something so masterful and so specific and so like explosive that I think it is very easy to look at what Morkborg is doing and then go like, okay, cool. So I just do this,
Mhm.
and you kind of you adopt the surface level without understanding the what's happening underneath. I've seen that done, and I think that it causes things to suffer for it.
Yeah. My most nuclear take is that I feel that way about PBTA.
Sure, I see that.
Especially like as a person who cares a lot about like I think I don't know. I think like relationships are really important in PBTI. Um, like no matter like what those relationships look like. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and I just feel like a lot of people think PBTA is like the pastiche, the like the exciting action drama risky like pastiche game, and like it's not. I don't know. I think Dungeon World has had effects. Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you're so not wrong. You know what it is? You know what it is? We're going full hater. It is. It's not really a suffix. I think. Like
Mm,
I'm sidestepping Duck's question a little bit, but the thing that like deeply frustrates me is mechanically optimized to get out of the way and let narrative take over with
mm,
a unique system that 4,000 words to describe the mechanics of a thing in the marketing pitch. As somebody that reads, as somebody that is Spider's Jorg for reading TTRPG marketing materials,
yeah.
I read a lot of them. I have to parse through a lot of things to find games for guests for the show. Like that is reading itch.io pages and reading marketing materials is as much of my job as recording Party of One.
Right.
It is so frustrating to me when I cannot get a handle on what the material of a game is going to feel like. Like it is going when I cannot get a vibe check on a game. If you are watching this, put a good get a really put some elevator pit like my challenge to you. I am issuing a challenge to you the viewer of the stream. I want you to draft an elevator pitch for your game that does not at any point reference the mechanics. Or if it does, in as few words as possible. I want you to describe the heart of your game separate from what it is doing mechanically. Because I think that is a good exercise, like from a creativity standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, I think it's a good exercise, but also I sometimes need a good vibe check for like this is what the game is offering me that isn't it's mechanically optimized to get out of the way and focus on the narrative with a unique system that prioritizes character interaction and difficult choices that like that to me is I agree. Also, don't reference a great suggestion from chat. Don't reference another game. Just tell me like what you want me to be doing, like what kinds of things you want me to be feeling, experiencing, thinking about when I'm sitting down for your game. If I was to pitch it to someone who knew nothing about role playing games, which is again a part of my job, what would I say to this person to pitch your game? I think that is something that is a hugely underdeveloped skill. Is like, here's the vibe check of the game for somebody that doesn't necessarily, that's not coming to it as an RPG super backer.
Yeah, definitely
Whew,
agreed.
rant over.
I don't know why I wrote this, but I have this Dark Souls-esque font, and I just started writing the the like shitty. Hang on, let me make this white. Oh wait, hang on. Fuck. There we go. Mechanically optimized to get out of the way. Hang on. I can also put a black behind it. This was. There we go.
This is fucking in spot. Thank you.
Mechanically optimized to get out of the way with a unique system that incentivizes difficult choices. It's like D&D 5e. I don't know what you actually do in it.
Fuck.
There you go.
Fuck. Oh. Oh my god, I'm in pain.
Okay.
Oh.
We're gonna stop disrupting the birds.
That's fucking funny.
Um,
Thank you for that. I am blessed.
You're welcome. Audiovar mission cozy. I am. Ooh, I have to be so careful because I'm listen. Some very very smart designers and great people have made like stuff that is explicitly cozy. Like have used that you know language in titles and marketing, etc. It is just I don't object to cozy as a thing that exists in RPGs. I just think that like my the things that I find cozy are like not necessarily like the like the low setting on Wanderhome. you know
Sure.
uh
Sure.
like I definitely I need at least like the fucking like Able sisters being sad in Animal Crossing. Like at the bare minimum, I need just a little bit of like I need a little bit of sadness in there. I like
I I need the thing that I need in my game, like, and I've read a decent number of games that I think would have this label applied to them. And I think the thing that makes me like really gravitate towards certain games over others
mhm,
is even if a game is marketed as and markedly cozy, I still want conflict. I want
mhm,
conflict laid out in front of me that I can engage with myself if it's a solo game, engage with players if I'm playing with players. Like I want I mean the right I approach games in a very writerly fashion and uh, um I want conflict to examine. That is the vibe that I think I want.
yeah, I definitely agree. For me, there's also an element of like so this is another thing. Like I have to be, whatever. I can be more reckless. I don't have to be too careful about it. We're talking about games. I'm allowed to talk about games. I I I really really like Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see myself using many of the settings in it because I find that a lot of them are like a little like the lines are too cleanly drawn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like I like the mess like in conflict. I think that's a really important element for me.
I want to brush up against things.
Mhm,
I want like within the story, I want to run up against things. I want there to be problems to solve. I want there to be challenge, like beliefs to be challenged. Like I want to fight against something even in like a cozy story. Like I think
Yeah.
about your prototypical coffee shop AU. There is still there are still customers. Like
Mhm.
a coffee shop AU, there are still customers, and that is a source of conflict. There is you are addressing a need, you are addressing a conflict. The machine might go on the fritz. Like there are things that need to be dealt with, and I feel like I need, if you're going to say like, oh, this is cozy and casual and like comfortable, I need you to be very forward about like, and here's the sorts of stories and problems that you can engage with.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Um, and I also really want I want queer people to hurt each other for stupid reasons.
Sure, yeah, I agreed, honestly.
Yeah. Um, Hell yeah. I think that's the last of our emails that we have. And, you know, we're just kind of ending up on time here. So I think that's probably a good
Timing
time to
wise,
wrap up.
could not have gone better.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to shoot folks towards before we wrap up?
Check out Party of One. We were very, it's a good show. It's a show that I'm very proud of, and I think that we've got some things coming up in the near future that I think are going to be really freaking exciting. I think we're taking some big swings in the near future, and I think that people are going to be excited with what we've got coming down the pipe.
Hell yeah. You had an episode with Brendan Lee Mulligan recently.
We did. Our season premiere was Brendan Lee Mulligan. That was a great episode, a Looney Tune come to life. And I think that like we're hurdling towards episode 400. I am doing the scripting for that episode right now.
Oh,
But we've got some other guests lined up that I think people are going to be pretty excited about.
hell yeah. So keep an eye on that. Make sure to follow Jeff on all the things. And I need to raid someone. Let me take a look at who is live. Ideally, I'd love to raid someone who's doing RPG stuff, but not always fully possible. Um, hmm. Oh, what is this? I'm determining if Okay, yeah. Art and Jack from Friends of the Table are playing something, some sort of card game called Balatro. So go say hi and watch that. And yeah, I'll be back. I think this Wednesday for Biotraffication with who's that gonna be with? Let's see. Uh, with Wendy Ribston. So be there and or be square. And yeah, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun!